to Streams of Income, hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur Dr. David Powers, where we discuss streams of income, passive income, residual income, and even why there are dinosaurs and zombies in this intro. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome. I wanted to do a quick intro for this streams of episode. Duh. I don't even know the name of my own podcast. Welcome to the Streams of Income podcast with Dr. David Powers. And so I got that part right. Wanted to do a quick intro. This interview is with Ken Marsiglia. He's my podcast intro guy. The intro that you heard before this, he's the guy that made it. And so I wanted to interview him. Now, here's the weird thing, though, why I wanted to do this intro is there was something going on with my system. It couldn't have been his because he was trying to adjust. I don't know. He was turning dials and stuff on his end, trying to adjust things. And it was on my end. And the thing is, I live kind of off grid here, meaning there is zero broadband internet. And so when there's storms or weather disturbances or magnetic geostorms or anything like that going on, my internet sucks. And so I think there was a lot of static on my end. And so his voice and everything was coming across horrible. I don't want you to think that's how his work is done. The guy is amazing. I mean, you heard the intro that he did for me. And so I just didn't want you to think his stuff wasn't any good because of what was going on my end with this podcast. And so I hope you enjoy it. Just wanted to tell you that so you don't think anything bad about Ken and not blame it on, I don't know. There's nothing to blame it on. It's just I live too far away from the road to have broadband internet. That's all there is to it. All right. Welcome to the Streams of Income podcast. I am David Powers, and here with Mr. Ken. Before I massacre your last name, is it Marsiglia?
That is correct. Right on the money.
Man, I got it right. Okay. Perfect. Ken Marsiglia, and a unique relationship I have with him. I mean, I interview a lot of people that I don't buy things from. And I thought, you know what? This dude has done the intro for two different podcasts for me. This one, and then one that never got launched. And, I need to interview this guy and see what's up and what all he does. Because I got a few questions I want to ask you about your trailer voice and, of course, the booth and all that kind of stuff. But, Ken, if you will, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a professional voice actor. Been doing it for about 7 years. Before that, I was a plumber, working for Lowe's. I don't know what else you want to know. I'm not sure.
Oh man! Oh, and I tell you what. Before I ask anything else, you'll probably notice some feedback on the audio here, and if you're watching the video version, that is on my end. I'm so far off grid that there's no such thing as broadband where I live, and so. Do not assume that the audio here is Ken's fault. The dude does an amazing job. So I don't want that to overshadow his work. Okay, you mentioned plumber. And so what took you from plumbing into voice acting? What spurred that on?
Well, several years ago, back in 2015 or 2016, I bought I don't know if you're familiar with the HTC Vive VR headset. Well, I was an enthusiast about VR for a long time, so ever since the 90s. First time I got to check it out at Pocket Change Park in 1993, and I had a love for it, and been waiting for a consumer model. I bought that, and that led me into becoming a YouTuber out of nowhere because I was playing some game that a bunch of streamers happened to be in, and I got recruited. Well, that led me on to what I'm doing now because I used to do reviews for games and equipment, and a few of the game devs would ask me, hey, you ever thought about, voice acting in a game? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Never thought about that, And, it took about a year of people bothering me about it before I actually just said, screw this. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try, see what this is about. And, well, I fell in love with it from there.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to replace that income and just drop the Lowe's job?
About 6 months.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, most people mess around with their side hustles and income streams and take years and blame it on the income stream.
Oh, yeah. When I hit it, at first it was just a hobby. And, I messed around for about 4 months of it until I got this radio show called Emperor Pigs, Pizza and Cigs, which is a wonderful show. It's not for the faint of heart, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it from that point on, and I just started grinding. And that's what everything's about. If you grind hard enough, you're gonna make it.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are or what your skill set is. If you do it, you're persistent. You're gonna make it to your goal. And I wasn't expecting to make it as fast as I did, but a lot of luck
Yeah.
is what it comes down to. Luck, and I met the right people at the right time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. They. I don't remember the exact quote, but most people say luck is just a matter of timing and hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
Oh, that's
is.
pretty awesome. Man, and so you went that fast, and I found you on Fiverr. I'm assuming, is that the only place you work off of, or?
Oh no, Fiverr makes up about 8% of my gigs.
Okay.
Fiverr, I set up a Fiverr account when I first started voiceover. When I was still doing it as a hobby, and just really never did anything with it on there. And until 2018, I finally put up my first gig, and I wasn't making any money yet. I was getting the occasional $20 gig here and there from somebody who just wanted an intro for a game or a DJ drop, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Fiverr, I started that account up, and it really propelled my career. It put me in the right direction. It got me to figure out what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, without having too much to worry about, because a lot of the clients that I was dealing with at the beginning were just YouTubers, streamers, people who you could pretty much fart in the mic and they were satisfied. I hate to say it that way, but it's true. I sounded like garbage.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have bought anything from me. But that led on to, getting agents and, going to voices.com, voice123, where the real jobs are, Bodalgo out of Germany. And I started booking jobs left and right off of that. Plus, through direct marketing is where I get most of my work. I get a ton of my work from right off of LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Because I usually tell people, because I do a lot of UGC ads, and I get a lot of work off Fiverr, but the quality is lower. And I usually tell everybody Fiverr is a great place to start and get your business going. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you pretty much have to come off of Fiverr if you want to make big bucks.
Exactly. I mean, Fiverr, I keep it going because I got a lot of people I've worked with over the years, a lot of YouTubers and stuff that I don't want to, put them in the dark. Plus, there's I get a lot of good gigs on there too. I work with you. I do a lot of, I've gotten Dr. Squatch, the soap people.
Oh man. Yeah.
They've hired me on Fiverr, that was big money, so, there's, you get some big money jobs on there, but for the most part, it's the $20, $30, quick turnaround jobs, and they add up in the end. But I could do one job that pays what I make on Fiverr for a year. It's
yeah, man. As far as UGC ads go, Dr. Squatch would be amazing for me. I want to get on there, like riding a bear, ripping my shirt off, something like that. Yeah, that'd be pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
So as far as voiceover, I mean, of course, not everybody's going to have a voice for worth anything, that they can monetize. But if they do, what kind of equipment? I know probably in the beginning it was cheaper stuff, maybe even just your phone, but what kind of money do you have in the equipment and the booth and that kind of stuff now?
Oh, right now I got probably close to about $70,000 worth invested.
Yeah.
Before that, I started out with a blue snowball, a $50 mic that really wasn't worth a damn, but I mean it sounded good enough for what I was doing.
Yeah.
But like right now I'm using the Sennheiser MKH 416 shotgun mic, which is, that's I don't have a reason to buy another mic after this.
Yeah.
That was like $1,300, and I have my DBX console, and I have several channel strips with EQ, and I'm working on getting an Avalon. That's big money. It's like $7,000 that I don't have.
Wow.
And then the booth is custom built. I built it myself. And it's virtually soundproof. I mean, it's not soundproof, but it's pretty darn close. I got a normal noise floor of around negative 90 dB.
Yeah.
Which is, way beyond human hearing.
Oh yeah.
But you end up sinking a lot of money. You can get away with I guess $1,000 in a PVC booth setup. I see a lot of pros still using PVC booths. But I like to be able to record while my neighbors are mowing the lawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got 5 kids. That's why one of the reasons I started out doing my podcast and my videos unedited, with bloopers and everything. Because man, if I try to do it all fancy, my kids are going to walk in, want to run by naked or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll bet. And I
Yeah,
got
but
children that run around
so I
screaming
mean,
all day.
oh man, yeah. And so if you want to get to the big time pro level like you are, I mean, you're going to have to invest some. But you know, you said for what could somebody start up if they wanted to try to do voiceover startup? What kind of money would they be looking at?
If you want to start up, you can go on Amazon, get a microphone interface set up. I think it's Audio Technica 2035. They usually run about $300 for the full set. That's boom arm, mic, pop filter. I think a Scarlett 2i2 interface, which is bottom barrel but good enough. And PVC booth, which would just be PVC pipes, 1.5 inch pipes with angles and some sound curtains, or go even cheaper, some moving blankets, and you'd be out about another $300 tops out of that, depending on quality and how much you want to build it up. So
Yeah,
it probably about I'd say anywhere between 600 to 1,000 to if you want to go pro, like if you're really serious about it and you've already tried, you've already practiced, done some auditions with say a Blue Yeti or whatever you have,
yeah.
you know, and you feel like this is something you're willing to spend more money on, then I'd say 600 to $1,000 you're in.
Okay,
Um,
all right. So that's I mean, it's not cheap money, but that's not bad for a business startup.
no, and you make it back quite quickly. I mean, I didn't buy anything that I didn't make off of voiceover. So like,
Yeah,
when I started off with that blue snowball, now that was out of pocket, but I was using that for, YouTube and stuff. So, it wasn't
yeah,
wasn't even bought for a voiceover.
yeah,
Then I built my first booth. It wasn't even a booth. It was just not even, it was a closet. I wouldn't call it much of a closet because it was about 2 feet deep. I was,
yeah,
I'm almost 3 feet wide. So whenever I was in it, I couldn't close it. And I had cardboard hung up, and, it was a mess, but it
yeah,
did the job. And I did some professional work in there with that, and that same mic that I just mentioned, the AT2035, which was my first pro mic. But I bought that mic with money that I made using that snowball, and then I bought an MK4, Sennheiser MK4. That was a $600 mic and a ID4 audio interface, and that was another, probably around $1,000 altogether. But that,
yeah,
again, made directly, I paid for that from voice work. I didn't take any money out of my income that I was, from plumbing. I didn't touch that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then the
See, that's
same
a
thing with
great way to go because too many people get started up and first thing they do, they max out the credit card
yep.
buying something somebody recommended and then add the interest payments into the cost of the equipment and it's a mess. I mean, the way you did it, just buy something that works, do a job, buy the next thing. I mean, reinvest in yourself, and man, look how fast you got to pro level. That's
Oh
that's
yeah.
pretty amazing.
And I think a lot
Yeah,
of it has to do with, is that you're doing it like it's a game. You're making achievements from the game. You're not going outside the game and bringing stuff in. And I think it
yeah,
goes a long way of getting your motivation as well. It's what kept me going, was seeing that, okay, I'm making this money and I'm upgrading from what I'm making. So, it made it worth it.
yeah,
And, you know, I,
yeah.
I
I
didn't,
love
I
that
didn't,
way of looking at it, like a next level unlocked kind of
yeah,
thing.
it's basically what it is. And and even during that whole time, I was still, I wasn't under the impression that I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life, or even make it as far as I've made it. It was just, I'm just going to keep on pushing it until it doesn't push anymore.
Yeah,
And and I just got lucky and it kept going.
yeah, yeah. That's pretty awesome. Hey, I tell you what, tell me about the your trailer voice because I mean it sounded pretty awesome on my podcast intro. And how much of that is pure you, and how much of it is just a little bit of manipulation?
95% of that is me. The manipulation is mostly compression. There's
Yeah,
very little pitching if I do any. Usually I do pitching whenever they want, pure Don LaFontaine style, which they pitched his voice as well. And I only pitch it about 0.25 cents on the dial. So it's basically a quarter of one octave
yeah.
is what I pitch it down to, and the rest of it's just me. Now, if
That's
I
pretty
do
cool.
like Grindhouse, like I did for Dick Dynamite, that's 100% me with
Yeah,
some amplification, of course, to make it boom a little bit more, but no manipulation of the audio signal at all.
yeah, yeah. And it's pretty amazing to me what you can put into that because I mean You seamlessly, like in mine, I mean, you got dinosaur noises, zombies, alien bugs. I mean, you can almost picture what's in the sound quality. It's pretty cool.
Oh, sound design is something I enjoy a lot. I've been doing that for a lot longer than the voiceover.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's amazing. So I tell you what, do you have any other streams of income or like other ways you make money off of your voiceover, or any even streams of income that don't have anything to do with voiceover?
Well, I work with a lot of clubs, nightclubs, doing their intros for the night and
Okay,
their outros, and sometimes some mid rolls in between if they have anything they want, from a sponsor, anybody, local businesses or anything like that. But most of those are in China. I do a lot. I'm probably the voice of about 50 nightclubs right now in China.
well,
Uh, so I do that. I also do a script, screenplays, rewriting them. Not I don't write them for people, but they'll send them to me to fix the dialogue.
okay,
Because I specialize in dialogue whenever it comes to writing. It's one of the things that annoy me the most whenever I look at a script and a dialogue. This isn't what humans would say or how they talk.
okay, yeah.
So I make some money off of that. I do a voicemail. I got a couple of companies that hire me, and it's still voiceover there, but I'm just going onto their Google account of different companies and changing their voice message system and getting paid for it.
Oh, that's neat.
Um,
Yeah, I've seen people do that at Comic Cons, where the celebrities they'll pay them for an autograph and the celebrity will record their voicemail for them,
oh yeah,
and
oh
so
yeah,
you do that for businesses.
yes. I do some epic voicemails as well. Some of them hire me to do the trailer voice as a voicemail, which is fun. Some of those are, yeah, some of them are corny, some of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
Hit or miss on that. And then I do audio design and editing and restoration on the side as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
'Cause
See,
I
that's
do.
one of the reasons I always ask that question is I get a lot of people that or a lot of the people that aren't as successful. They've got income streams all over the board, like every
Mhm.
shiny penny they jumped on it. And I love it when I hear an answer from somebody that is doing well, and all their income streams kind of can tie back into a main thing. It's just different branches of it.
Oh yeah. And that's the way you have to do it. I mean, to me, any business that has one stream is, it may survive, but it's not going to thrive. It's not going to go anywhere. It's all the little amounts that add up. Everything in combination. Like, I
Yeah,
see like voice actors who, specialize in games, and it's like I do 300 games a year. But if I were to combine all that income that I make from those games, it wouldn't even pay the bills for 6 months.
yeah,
You know, I can do 10 commercials and make 5 times as much as I made for those 300 games.
yeah. Okay.
So especially if I produce the commercials, because that's more money added on top, several $1,000s on top,
Yeah.
for full
Okay.
production.
All the
So
value added stuff that you can just
oh
add
yeah,
into it.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay. So yeah, well, that's a good point to hit on is the value added. So I mean, you can take a regular gig, whether it's voiceover, something like that, and then I assume you can pitch all these upgrades, that kind of thing. Like, hey, do you need this? Do you need that?
oh yeah. Yeah,
That's
when I'm
pretty
working
cool.
directly, a lot of times I just get whatever the client wants, brief wise, and I just send them, all the details, and here's what it's going to cost at the end.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
it.
All right. Now I'm not picking up any accent from you at all,
Oh,
or at least
really?
one that I can recognize. So, do you ever get people that? I mean, I've had people in China or something ask me to do like the UGC videos. They'll ask me to do a hillbilly redneck, which isn't hard for me to drift into if I want to. So, do you ever get anything like that?
I do a lot because I do have a natural southern Alabama accent. It comes and goes because I wasn't born here. I've lived here for shit 24 years now, 23
Yeah.
years. So I picked up the accent. Plus, I've learned all the accents of all the southern dialects. So I can do pull off if they want a Georgian accent. I can pull off a Georgian accent. West Virginia, I can do that. Mississippi, Louisiana, Cajun, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
also,
that's pretty neat. I've always thought that was really cool when you run into somebody that can pick up the different dialects and accents. I mean, and just tell where somebody's from.
oh yeah.
You know,
I wish I could do things like New Yorker accent, like sound like I'm from the Bronx. I've had people request it, and I can't even come close. It's
yeah,
like one of those things that just I try and try and try, and I just fall into pirate or
yeah,
something just weird.
yeah, yeah. I fall into pirate anytime I try to do Irish or Australian. It
Well,
just
that's how you do the Irish. You start with pirate, and then you level it out a little bit. And if you want to go Scottish, you go drunken pirate. You're solid, serious.
I'm gonna have
I
to
do
add that to my when I talk to the kids. So, where would you want people to find you? I'll put a link in the show notes, but where's the best place to find you if they want a voiceover or something?
KenMarsiglia.com.
All right, easy enough. All right, and so as we get close to closing out, the last question I usually ask everybody: if you could only do one income stream for the rest of your life, like you had to drop everything or even start a new one, what would be your dream for the rest of your life income stream?
Network voice.
Network voice? And
Yep.
what exactly is that?
Oh, like, when you hear, on TV, coming up next, that kind of, telling you or giving you a small, brief of the next show coming up, or just that kind of voice. I get a lot of auditions for HBO and whatnot for that. And I'm currently a network voice for, I don't know if you ever heard of Out TV.
No, I
It's a
haven't.
streaming service. It's one for, I think it's mainly geared towards, the LGB people
Okay.
community. It's like their own channel, but it's like more
Oh,
like
okay. That makes
Netflix.
sense with the name now.
Yeah. And so they hired me. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a joke whenever I first got hired by them because the script was actually funny. It was like one of them scripts that you're like, oh, this can't be real, And then I found
Yeah.
out, oh, wow, it's real. I'm like, my voice is on a TV show. That's cool. But I'd love to do that. To me, that is. I think it's a lot of voice actors' dream gig. The ones that are
Yeah.
serious into it, that aren't just into character work. It's because that's just going to pay the bills tenfold.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if I'm watching Game of Thrones one day and I hear, scene on last week's episode, that's going to be you saying that at some point.
At some point, I hope. Either them or Showtime, one of the big ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if I'm in a nightclub in China, I'm going to hear you doing the
You're
mid
most
breaks.
likely going to hear me if you're in a nightclub in China. Good chance of it.
That's pretty cool. I've got one friend that did she got the gig for the lottery system here in South Carolina where I'm
Oh,
at.
that's cool.
And anytime they put the ticket in the machine and it says, you're a winner, it's a friend of mine. I'm like, I know her.
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, she got paid for it, but didn't get residuals, so she doesn't get a little bit every time somebody wins.
Yeah, you gotta put that in your contract early on, and that's hard to do sometimes. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just it depends on what their budget is if they're willing to do it. So I know can't remember her name, and I'm friends with her online. The one who did the voice of Alexa, and
Okay.
she doesn't get any residuals whatsoever.
Oh man, I
But
never even considered that. Who did that voice?
I can't remember her name, and I talk to her about once a month on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I do
So
not
I would
remember.
imagine, how in the world would you do that? Like she would just have to record a set amount of things for them, or?
Basically, it's probably about 40,000 words top, a minimum, just
Yeah.
so that it can mimic her voice. So you
Okay.
got to make a voice print for artificial intelligence, and see that's one thing I will not touch. If somebody
Yeah.
wants something for artificial intelligence, they better have a six-figure rate.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna,
Because that's a lot of money moving forward.
yeah, you're taking money. I'm gonna lose money because of it. And the worst part about it is having your voiceover saturated. The more popular your voice is, the less work you're gonna get. At least the big jobs.
Okay.
It's because
People just hear it too much.
yeah. It's why like same thing with in perpetuity. Having a job that where they can just play it for the rest of the life of the company every day if they want.
Yeah.
And it kind of hurts you in the long run. Like say if I do one for an auto parts dealer, and they do it in perpetuity. Well, now I might not ever get a job from any other auto parts company because that person still has rights to my voice.
Oh,
And
okay. I didn't think about
so
that. Like the guy who does the Geico Lizard or something like that.
yeah, see when they do that, they get paid every time.
Wow.
Like so they'll have you'll run an ad. The agreement will be okay. Here's broadcast rights in perpetuity, but we're going to only run it for 13 weeks. The in perpetuity part on that still has a dollar amount on it. So if we run it beyond that, we paid you $8,000 for broadcasting for the first 13 weeks. Well, if we run it beyond that, we're going to have to pay you another $8,000. And
Wow.
that'll
Okay.
just continue every time the deadline hits. They'll have to pay you
Yeah.
again.
Wow.
And
So
then
that's
it's
getting
worth it.
residual money forever.
Yeah, that's worth it whenever they do that.
Yeah.
But you can't always negotiate those terms either. It's client by client.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. But the bigger, more important, more famous you get, the more you can kind of demand things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Is there anything you want to put out there about voiceovers or even streams of income that I might have missed or you think's important?
All I can say is if you're interested in, pursuing voice acting or, acting in general, the thing is it's not an easy industry. It's not, it's easy work. I'm going to say that right up front. It is easy work. I work an hour and make, several $100s in that hour or several thousand, depending on, what the job is. But if you get into it, you got to have thick skin. Don't get into this if your feelings are easily hurt, or or if you get stressed out, or if you have to take mental health breaks. This ain't the industry for you.
Man, you just
This is
eliminated a whole generation of young people.
and a whole bunch of them that are gonna be mad at me on Twitter later because they fit that demographic. They're interested in the acting. They may have the chops for it, but if you don't have the skin, if you don't have the ability to work when you don't feel like it, or when you're sick, or whatever,
Yeah.
then this is not for you. It's a lonely, rough life for those who can't be lonely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, man, you just put two things together, though. You were talking about the hustle earlier. I mean, if there's somebody in a younger generation, I'll say, that doesn't mind the hustle and's got a thick skin, they're way far ahead of everybody else around them.
Yes.
I mean,
oh yeah. If I would have started this when I was in my 20s, I'd be a rock star right now.
yeah,
There's no doubt that I would be way up there. I started this when I was in my 40s. So
yeah,
it was kind of late start, but I found my purpose, I guess.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's mostly going to be luck. Getting into this industry, there's no time, specific amount of time that it takes to make it. There's people that have been doing it for 10 years that still haven't gotten their first pro gig. There's people that, get their first pro gig in 1 year,
yeah.
and, it just depends on how much you're willing to suffer to get where you need to be. Because that's what
Yeah.
it's about. You have to be okay with being miserable and, lowering, what you buy for yourself just so you can feed your your new business.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's good advice. I mean, that's good, just plain old life advice there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining me. Like he said, kenmarsiglia.com, and I'll put that in the show notes just in case people wondering how to spell it or anything. And thanks for coming in and educating me a little bit on the voiceover industry.
I appreciate it, brother. It's been fun.
Hey, guys. It's Dr. Dave here in Rugged Dad Studios for another episode of, or actually by the time you see this is going to be a segment of the Streams of Income podcast. It's going to be a short one. I'm actually experimenting with some microphones. And so I thought, you know what? There's some other folks out there that are as new or newer to podcasting as myself, and this might benefit them. I'm very new to podcasting. I've been doing YouTube videos forever. Like, well, we won't date myself by saying how long, but forever. And so I'm new to podcasting, probably should have done it years ago, but new to it. And so I'm experimenting with microphones. I've got some fairly cheap things going on here. And so, cheap, that just makes it sound really bad. Inexpensive, we'll say. I'm out on the inexpensive side with the tech because I just don't want to put a lot of money into the tech right now if it's not really needed. I mean, one of these days you'll see me with the fancy Rodecaster Pro and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't see the need for it right now, not with this type of podcast. If I was doing a different kind of podcast and needed all kinds of sound input and that kind of thing, I might do that. Or if I was at the level of Pat Flynn, might do that also. But for today, we're going to talk about microphones. What you're listening to right now, and since the start of this little segment, is the regular microphone in my laptop. And this is an LG Gram laptop, nothing special. Just the standard microphone that comes embedded in the laptop. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to plug in my Tonor unidirectional microphone with my spit shield on it. There we go. And let's plug that in. And we're going to test that and see which one sounds better. Now, I'm going to be biased. I mean, like most people, well, yeah, I guess most extroverted introverts, which I am, we love to talk, but we don't always love the way we sound. I'm one of those people. I don't always love the way I sound. Sometimes I'll go back and listen to some of my videos, some of my audios, and man, like, what is wrong with that dude? Why does he sound that way? Does he really sound like that? Do I really sound like that? Yeah, sometimes I do, but mostly it's just in my own mind. So I want you to tell me in the comments which one you like better. Now, for some reason, as soon as I put this microphone in front of myself, it's out of habit. I started talking towards it. I haven't even plugged it in yet. So, all right, here's the Tonor unidirectional mic. All right, boom. I just saw the little indicator go up on the laptop. It is plugged in. I'm now speaking into the unidirectional Tonor microphone. I need you to let me know what you think. Did it change the sound quality? Is it sound better, worse? Let me know. It's also unidirectional. And so the problem there, if I'm doing a podcast where there's more than one of us, I'm going to need multiple mics or just work with the laptop mic, which is it's in the laptop. I don't know about the specs on it, but I'm guessing it's just cheap and unidirectional because it tends to pick up pretty well. It always has for my YouTube videos. And so I'm going to move around a little bit and let's see how the unidirectional mic picks up when I'm not speaking directly into it. So how does this sound? I'm going to talk normal now, just not yell or anything. I'm off to the side here. So how does this sound when I'm off to the side of the mic? And back to the middle again, and off to the other side. So I'm going to go back and listen to this one for sure, but like I said, I really need your feedback in the comments. All right, the next microphone that I'm going to use is my oldest son, Abishai, he used to work at a thrift store. And occasionally they would get things in that they couldn't sell. This next mic I'm going to try, they did not have the capabilities really to test it out. It wasn't worth the cost and the time to them to plug this thing in, test it, make sure it worked. And so they said, hey, Abishai, you want this? And he said, oh, yeah, cool. My dad might want to use that. So he brought it to me. It's the Blue Snowball. Now, many of you guys recognize this. It's the Blue Snowball. It came to me free from a thrift store. And so I'm going to plug that in next. The big difference is that it's omnidirectional. Now, that means the unidirectional means, it's attracted to sound from one direction, basically straight into the microphone. Omnidirectional, I've actually been on some podcasts in places like open parks. I did a podcast with Heck Mariah one time about a book I wrote called Game of Thrones versus the Bible. And he was in my area visiting, had his girls on the playground. And so we actually sat on a park bench at the playground while his girls were playing, and we could both keep an eye on them, and did the podcast on an omnidirectional blue. I think he had a Blue Yeti, he called it, just a different blue microphone. Maybe a better one than this, though, because I got to be honest with you, the sound quality was amazing. And somehow it also auto-filtered out all the background noises, screaming kids, unless they were too loud, the squeaking of the swings, people running by. It did a really good job. All right, so now I'm going to unplug this Tonor unidirectional, and I'm going to plug in the Blue Snowball. All right, the red light is on. I see the indicator is lit up, and now I'm speaking on the blue. And I don't know if I'm supposed to face that towards you or me. It looks better, though, with the logo facing you, although that red light's kind of obtrusive. But this is an omnidirectional mic, so I'm speaking towards it right now, and I'm going to turn it and speak towards the other side just to see. Now I'm speaking towards this side on the front where the logo is. And, I'm not sure which one I like better for if you're watching the YouTube version, you can see all this. If you're watching the audio, but I'm switching this blue around to see which side I like facing you, the listener, better. And so now I'm actually going to get up and move around a little bit. I'm going to walk on the other side of my desk as well, because if I'm interviewing a couple of people, especially here in my office, what I'd like to do ideally is stage this omnidirectional mic in the middle of the desk, kind of behind the laptop, and that way somebody can be sitting on the other side, or I might put it over here and have another person over here. So I'm going to get up and walk around and speak and see how it does. All right, so I'm just going to talk a little bit while I'm walking around. I'm at the side of the desk now, about 3 feet away. Now I'm walking around on the other side of the desk. I'm still about 3 feet away. I'm not going to get much further than that. And so walking around the other side, and guess what? Here I come, and I'm back. And the neat thing about this one, at least I hope it's neat, on the back, I see that there is a 1, 2, 3 setting. Like I said, I got this free from a thrift store because of my son, and I'm not sure what the 1, 2, 3 settings are. All right, this is the 2 setting, number 2 setting. I guess I'll find out on playback how this does and what it sounds like. And testing. I'm on the number 3 setting now. And so I'm looking forward to listening to this. And, actually, I may just listen to this and scrap the whole thing, because what if I listen to this thing and realize that the entire time I've been speaking into this Blue Snowball microphone that maybe it's broken, and you can see my lips moving and not understand any of the words coming out because you can't hear me. So I guess I'll find out later. If I do, you're not going to see this. And it doesn't really matter what I'm saying now because you'll never hear it or see it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug this microphone. And we are back to the laptop microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this segment down. And I'll come right back in a few minutes after I listen to this and let you know what I thought about this. So you've got just a minute or two before I come back. Just go ahead and collect yourselves. Type some things into the comments. Let me know which one you like the best and which one. What I'm hoping, though, here's what I'm hoping, is that both microphones work amazingly well. And also, actually, all three. And that way, it gives me a lot of variety, a lot of options to use, because I do want to start bringing in some multiple guests. I mean, ideally, I'll have 5 or 6 people from a business, or we'll get together and brainstorm some things. And I want to be able to use the omnidirectional mic to pick up a bunch of people at one time. All right, this is Dr. Dave signing out for just a minute, and I'll be back in just a few. And guess what? I'm back. I just got through listening to the recording of the microphone test, we'll call it. And I got to be honest with you, you may disagree with me in the comments. I didn't notice that much different. Not enough difference to be that discernible. Someone with a real ear for the engineering and the sound aesthetics and all that, they may notice a lot. They may say, certain consonants, certain sounds, syllables, things like that sound better with certain microphones. I didn't notice enough difference that I think it's really going to matter for the podcast. I do find, though, that I like the feel of having a microphone in front of me. I may not, I don't know, I may change that in the future. I don't know, but the laptop even seemed to record perfectly well. I could tell a very, very slight difference when I went from the laptop to the toner, unidirectional mic. Notice a slight difference. On the Blue Snowball, I didn't really notice any difference from the toner to the Blue Snowball. And especially when I put it on the 1, 2, 3 settings, I didn't notice any difference there either. And when I walked around the desk with the Blue Snowball, you could tell I was a little further away. You could tell the sound was coming from further back. And so it may work better for that than the unidirectional. And so I'll use that for interviews when I've got multiple people around the desk or a table or something like that. Or maybe when I'm out and about, like doing an interview in the park on the playground. And so I'm going to just use and work with this microphone right here for now because I think it works perfectly fine. But like I said, let me know in the comments below if you disagree. And, maybe I need to invest in something better. I am more than willing also to accept recommendations. What do you use? What do you like? What have you used that you notice a tremendous